Cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1899. I'm Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Podcastro Valley 10. It's the last place on earth where we are broadcasting from. And you might think this song is kind of dumb, but you are completely welcome to your opinion. I hope you have enjoyed some of the sun this past summer. And that's about it.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It is the 15th of September today. It is not only my lovely lady friend's mom's birthday.
Mike's
Happy birthday
Daily
to her.
Podcast.
But it is also a very important day.
Yeah!
I have lived in the Bay Area now for exactly 10 years. I have spent a decade here in the Bay Area. I am not originally from the Bay Area. I'm originally from Southern California, Van Nuys, then Ventura. I went from one V to the other V, and that is in the V-town, would be Ventura. But Van Nuys, as you probably know, back in the 70s, was the headquarters for a lot of adult movies. If you ever saw Boogie Nights. I was not privy to any of that as a kid. I was nicely sheltered away from all of that. I was actually going to a Baptist church school every day. I even went Sundays to the Baptist church for the Sunday school. So I was probably as far away from that whole thing, that whole scene that I found out years later that was happening. But there was, of course, all the studios in the San Fernando Valley, and I was very privy to all of that. My dad worked for Universal. There was I think we drove past the CBS studios where Seinfeld was later filmed and all these other sitcoms were filmed. I remember once seeing Chips.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The Erik Estrada Chip Show being filmed. Actually, that was over at Alvaro Street. That's over in Los Angeles. But yeah, it was a fun time. It was hot. No, I should take that all back. It was not a fun time growing up in the San Fernando Valley. It was hot. It was horrible. I did not prefer it at all. And then Ventura was wonderful. Oxnard was wonderful living up there. Then years later, so I went to Alabama for 2 years. And 2 years ago... 10 years ago today, I moved from there, Alabama, to here, if that makes any sense. That's your journey to wherever you are might be far more fascinating than mine and may traverse this country several times over. I don't know. And go to all kinds of places all around the world. But for me, Basil. And then Basil and I were then introduced at the beginning of 2010. So it hasn't been quite 10 years for he and I, but 10 years for me in the Bay Area. So what have I learned from 10 years in the Bay Area? People can't drive in the Bay Area. It's a fact. Anyone will tell you they can't drive. It's extremely expensive to live in the Bay Area. Every time you cross a bridge, it's at least $6. The cost of going out to eat is crazy stupid. It's ridiculous and completely not necessary. You can buy stuff at the store, take it home and eat it. Trader Joe's is still relatively cheaper to eat at. If we're going to get something from Trader Joe's, take it home and eat it. Or Costco. Or even the Safeways have some discounts now, and I hear they've got an app that will allow you to get things for incredible discounts. But also in the Bay Area, I've learned that we have a couple times a year some crazy hot days. And I talked about that yesterday. It was just so hot on Friday. And even yesterday was pretty uncomfortable. Not pleasant at all. And I don't get it. The Bay Area gets hot. And I've known that, but then it'll get kind of cold. But for the most part, it's a nice place to live. We have a lot more trees than there are in Southern California. we have redwood trees. I think about the furthest south you can go for the redwood trees is somewhere near Big Sur, and then they stop. So those are beautiful marvels to see, natural marvels. The people in the Bay Area are interesting. It's very diverse, multicultural, all kinds of, if you're any crazy thing you might be into, there's probably someone else akin to you. So you'll never be bored in the Bay Area, that's for sure. But I've gone through a lot in the past 10 years, as most of us have. And now I'm still here. So, ta-da, I'm here. That's about it. Something I'd like to share with you is a TV show I found on Netflix. My lovely lady friend found it. She was telling me, oh, I'm watching this show about these women wrestlers. And I thought, yeah, okay. That sounds really dumb. I'm not interested. She goes, oh, no, it's pretty funny. Mark Maron's in it. I go, Mark Maron? Really? The podcaster? The comedian? The WTF podcast, very popular. At first, I found it fascinating because of his little stand-up at the beginning of the podcast, and then he would interview a guest, but now he's gotten to be very famous for his guests. He's even interviewed Obama. The TV show they made on IFC, not so good, with him following his life. I didn't prefer it. It was a lot of cussing and not much story, and I am a podcaster, and no, I don't make coffee every morning with my special coffee ground device that he has, and he gets to talk to all these major big celebrities that go into his garage, and then he gets into all kinds of little goofy problems. But he's in this TV show called Glow, and I have to tell you, the writing on that show is hilarious. The dialogue, and if you are into wrestling, you're probably not going to like this. There's not much wrestling. At least the first 3 episodes, I don't see much wrestling going on. These actresses, they are like actresses trying to make it in the San Fernando Valley. And yes, it has to do with Van Nuys too, so I find that fascinating as well. In the 80s, back when I lived there. So I find that fascinating too. But they don't as far as I've seen, they're kind of warming up to the whole wrestling idea, and they haven't actually gotten into the wrestling part of it. So if you are into that whole world and you want to see that, that's not what you're going to see in this show. You're going to see people, struggling actors, that whole lifestyle. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valleyton. It's a hard life to be an artist, to try and make it as an actor. And it talks about all the darkness that comes with Hollywood. And Mark Maron is a jaded old director. And then Alison Brie, who is in Community, the perky girl, who's in Mad Men. She's the wife that ends up getting, cheated on several times by her husband with different women. And she kind of has this very pathetic character on that show. But this show, she gets to glow on Glow. She does a great job on it. I'm very impressed, Alison Brie, on this show. She does a lot of gutsy stuff. And it's so funny because everybody makes fun of her on this show. They're constantly saying, oh, she's not that pretty. Oh, she's ugly. Like Mark Maron is, I want to like your face, but I don't like your face. And Alison Brie is not ugly. She's got kind of these big eyes, but it makes fun of the type of actress that gets really popular on. I would say on the CW, you see more Alison Brie actresses than any other type. They all kind of have the same look. But Mark Maron's making fun of her hair. Your hair is brown, the color of bleep. And Mark Maron is just this despicable guy on the show, but he gets all the great lines. He gets some great one-liners. And then the women, actually it's written by women, or at least some of the episodes I saw last night. So I'm finding it very amusing. You probably, I don't know what you'll think, but unlike the other Netflix show that I watched, the Dark Crystal series, Oh, that was so horrible in every possible way. And it just shows how Disney is just a dearth. It should be Dearthny. Just so terrible. Oh my gosh. Dark Crystal was a movie that if you watch in the early 80s, Jim Henson did it. I talked a little bit about it recently, but it was an amazing movie at its time, because it was all puppets. And they did some, at the time, it was a sci-fi puppet movie. All these puppets and characters, completely original. Jim Henson modified some characters that he had created for a Saturday Night Live sketch. And that's where it came from. But it was a very original film when it came out. It turned a lot of heads when it came out, and it got Jim Henson a lot of work. He did a lot more movies after that, and eventually Disney bought the Jim Henson stuff, and then Disney ruined it because now this TV show is just terrible. It just goes into every same storyline that we've seen in all these sci-fi Game of Thrones type shows, and it's just bad. So Netflix could have got not, but this is Netflix. Netflix, they take everything. They give everybody, as Saturday Night Live poked fun at, they give everybody a bunch of money to do their project, as long as it gets the Netflix label on it. And some stuff sticks to the wall. Some stuff is really good. And not so much with the Dark Crystal. Wow. And I'm just so anti-Disney right now. There's this guy I know who always goes to Disneyland. He goes there. He's like 48, 49. He goes to Disneyland as much as he can. And I'm like, good for you. But you know what? You're sucking money out of your... Oh, I get to go for free. Do you? Do you really? You still got to go down there. You still got to travel down there. You still got to eat. Even if Disney comped you every meal in the park, you're still going to be ending up paying for something. I might get a Coke. That's $12. I'm going to buy some toys for my kids. That's $80 at least. Disney. Ugh. I'm just not. I'm anti-Disney at the moment. That might change. That being said, though, we could talk for hours about old Disney rides. The trip through inner space and all that stuff. Pirates of the Caribbean. Man, I loved the rides at Disneyland. But then I'm a big fan of all rides. I kind of like, even the Santa Cruz has this goofy haunted castle ride, and whenever I ride it, I'm laughing. It's so funny. You're in a old castle, you're in a swamp, there's some kind of ghost there's coming at you out of the swamp. I don't know what's going on. There's guys coming at you out of the graveyard, and it's becoming Halloween very soon. Yes, Halloween. And then we're going to have the haunted Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, Pirates of Emerson is what we have. We've got this interesting amusement park that pops up in Pleasanton at the Alameda County Fairgrounds. And I actually voiced the commercial on the radio for them. And they do some interesting, they got like 4, or maybe last year it was 5 different haunted houses. And they pick a different theme. One year they had kind of a Christmas-themed haunted house with all this Christmas-related stuff. Scary toys, scary Santa. So that's happening. But, not to give them a free plug, but I guess I'm going to go for free. I usually go for free every year, so there you go. I guess I got a little sidetracked because I wanted to mention that Mr. Bernie Sanders has to take some time off. He has gotten really hoarse. If you heard him during the debate, oh, wow, he sounded bad. Just barely could get anything out of his larynx, vocal cords. He rallied. He's 78 years old, and he rallied with an estimated 10,000 people in Denver. His voice didn't improve and was noticeably raspy, cracking multiple times. Thursday night, when he took on 9 other candidates during a primetime network debate, He kept up his aggressive schedule. He's held 5 public events throughout Nevada. He's going. It's coming back a little bit, he told NBC News after an event in Las Vegas. He's doing a lot. At that event, he joked with supporters about taking another commercial break for water when he paused during his remarks. But yeah, that's tough. Bill Clinton's voice gets all raspy and hoarse now. You can barely hear him these days. Well, let's see. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about today on this wonderful podcast that you are listening to. And the podcast picture today involves a wonderful picture of this character. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the rodeo queen. How y'all doing? I ain't horse, but I got a horse. Nilly. Hey, Nilly. What's up? Good horse. The horse is horse. But do you see who else is here outside a cafe anyway? Let's say hi to them as well, because we love them. It's right here. Really? I thought they were on the... Okay.
Hello, Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. I was here yesterday.
I know. That's why I was confused. I was confused with you being here.
I know, Mike Matthews. I was in the podcast picture.
That's right. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. I always have a little bit of problems with my voice. There, have some water. Thank you. So, yeah. But you can see the podcast picture with Benita at MikesDailyPodcast.com. And, oh, yeah, Basil the Boxer is in it as well. So check that out. So passwords. I had to basically try and remember all my passwords because the little thing that I kept it on got deleted, got thrown out, got destroyed. So I had to remember all my passwords. So I had to change a bunch of them too because I couldn't remember them and I couldn't remember usernames and all of that. 2019. It ain't easy with all the passwords you need to have, but here's the thing, a little trick to do is to, I don't really have a good trick for passwords. You should change them as often as you can. Where do you keep them? That's a good, I mean, you could keep them in your cell phone, but what if someone steals your cell phone and gets in? Well, you have to have a good PIN so that no one can get into your cell phone in the first place. I don't really know how easy it is to hack a cell phone. But then there's also, you could put it on a piece of paper and save it somewhere that no one knows where it is. Like, I don't know, maybe you got a secret place in your house. There are, I guess, you can do, if you are really specific with your passwords, like specific to things that happen to you that are rare and unusual that no one knows about. There you go. That might be a way. I'm not a fan, though. I do not want Google to know any of my passwords. I always say no when it wants to save a password. And just try and save them as... I know one guy, he'll come up with a password and have a number in it, and then he'll just keep the password. And he changes... When he changes the password, all he does is change the number. And that's how he keeps it fresh. But really no tips there. Just that you should change your passwords as much as you can. Where you save them, make sure it's a safe place. I kept my passwords in a not so safe place that ended up getting deleted, destroyed. And so, yes. Any ideas you might have, please let me know. 336MM Daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews, Daily as in what this podcast is. Good suggestions that you might have for keeping your passwords and changing your passwords. What's a good rule of thumb for you? Or maybe don't even tell me that. That's probably too much. But just, any good tips you have in this password world we live in. It's crazy. Okay, well, here's my last parting thought for you today. Is I'm sure you have had an interesting life. And if you look back 10 years, do this for me today. Look back 10 years ago from where you were 10 years ago today. And think about how far you've come. And the ups, the downs, think about all of that. And I'm sure somewhere in all of it, you see a progression. Yeah, we're all getting older. Yeah, we're all getting grayer. But I'm sure there's been a lot of good things that have happened in your life. Think about them. The past 10 years, what good things have happened to you. And remember that today. And I will hopefully speak with you again soon. Possibly even tomorrow. We'll see. 3 + 3 = 6 as in Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast is. That's the number to call me, or you can call me MikesDailyPodcast@gmail, or email me MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. Take it away, Erik.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!